Hello everybody, Frankie here with Vibrance, Center for Voice and Movement. And as you can see, I am in a different space. So I'm one of the artists who has been granted space for the next 4.5 months, thanks to Hambidge. And I'm hearing my voice in a very different way for it's been a long time since I've been in such a large echoey space. So I'm really excited to get to enjoy this residency and to also be collaborating with a bunch of other dancers primarily. But I've got some things cooking up with a bunch of artists, so that's really exciting. Today, I am going to lead you through an exploration of the front in particular of your rib cage. So a lot of work that dancers and actors and voice actors will do is body mapping. And part of that is because whether you're using your body as a dancer or you're using your body to create voice, everything comes from the body. And especially I find that actors think of their voice as separate from the body. When you're doing a lot of voiceover work, it can really feel like your voice is separate from the body because often those spaces are very small, or you might be hunched under a quilt or something. And so part of a useful practice and part of a warm-up should involve reconnecting with this amazing instrument through which your vibration, your voice comes through. So today I want you to think about your rib cage. And also because when I work with a new client, some of them come to me and go, diaphragm breathing, right? So they're thinking about belly breathing, some people call it, right? The diaphragm sits up here underneath the rib cage, and then as you inhale, it starts to flatten out and push down a little, and your organs start to make room, and that's how we get that round belly when we're nice and released. However, in addition to your diaphragm, the ribs need to move. And sometimes people get very fixated on the diaphragm that they hold their ribs really, really tight. So today I want to focus in on breathing and releasing the rib cage. And if you have tension in your ribs, this may take some practice to really start to feel the movement of your rib cage. But often, as part of a warm-up, I'll bring my hands here with my thumbs around the back, and I'll just think of breathing into my ribs. So the bottoms of my ribs are here. I love the term rib swing, and that's what we're looking for, is that the bottoms of the ribs swing a little bit outward. So join me here, bringing your fingers to the front of your ribs, your thumbs to the back, and just think of breathing into your rib cage. Let your jaw go. Can you work with the image of releasing the bottom of the ribs, or the bottom ribs, into your hands? And I'm thinking of softening here. And I'm even thinking of can my fingers spread away from each other? And if you feel like you have a good sense of that, you can let your arms come down so that your shoulders can drop. And take a few breaths here. And then letting that go. So, and you could do this lying down. I'm going to do this standing up so that you can see me. But I'm going to encourage you to investigate this under or this lower part of the rib cage. So I'm going to start, here's my sternum, and that's a pretty solid feeling piece of bone here. And then I'm going to walk my fingers down, and Catherine Fitzmaurice calls it the tuxedo cutaway. I'm sure a lot of people do. So this is where the rib cage starts to go out away from the center. And I'm going to use my fingers and just walk the lower edge of my rib cage as I'm breathing. And I'm walking them back in. And if you feel adventurous, you could even hook your fingers in and breathe. And then go to another spot and hook your fingers in. It's very tender for me. I think that's fairly common. But then I start to release some really tight muscles here. And this can be a little easier lying on the ground because your shoulders are giving into gravity. Ooh, lots happening. Ooh. And then I'm just going to get you to walk your fingers along your rib cage and find, I can feel bone, and then I can feel the spaces between where there are muscles. Oh, and those spaces are quite tender. So I'm going to walk my fingers along those intercostal muscles. And I might pause in a few places and breathe. Oh, and soften. And then walk somewhere else. And you can do this all over your chest. I'm just walking you through the exercise, but I suggest taking some time lying on the floor. And now I'm going to add in some fluffy sound. Just getting a deeper understanding of this part of my body, this rib cage, and feeling that, right, this area up here doesn't feel the same as this area down here. There's different patterns of tension. There's different degrees of movement. And now I'm going to warm up my hands to finish this off. Get some warmth going. And I want to just feel the warmth of my hands now on my rib cage and soften there. So sometimes it's nice to get in and get at the tight muscles. And then another way in is to bring some warmth and to think of, what I do is I think of that part of my body giving in to my hands. So as opposed to my fingers getting into the body, my body's releasing it. And just bring your hands wherever you'd like to feel some warmth. One more. I lied. One more time. I'm going to bring some exploration to my side ribs here. Yeah. And I'm enjoying the sensation of my sound. Nice. And then if you're lying on the floor, just let your hands come down. And notice if anything feels different. Or what feels familiar. Now, if you're lying on the floor, I would have you roll to one side and take a few breaths lying on your side, perhaps with your knees bent, so fetal position. And then using your own sense of your body, your own desire, I'd have you then roll up your spine. So coming on to a position where your feet are on the floor, your head is dropped down, the back of your neck is nice and long, your jaw, your tongue is nice and released. And then I would just have you roll up your spine, taking a few breaths to get all the way up, which is also opening up your back ribs as well. Taking your own time. And when you do come up and lift your head up, if you can refrain from adjusting clothing for a moment and just let your eyes rove around the room to bring yourself back into your own environment, seeing something that your eyes like to look at. It could be a color or a texture or a shape. And then gently breathe in. And then shake that out and release that on sound. Lovely. So I encourage you to take this week to get curious about your ribs. You can play with your side ribs and your back ribs as well as your front, tracing all of this part of your body that does so much and is often not a concern, not something that you might consciously think about. So have a wonderful week. Tell me how you get on. Tell me if there are some topics that you'd like me to cover. And in the meantime, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Bye.